Some pilots hook you, but Smoke Gets in Your Eyes rewrites the rules. Mad Men is one of my favorite shows for a reason, and it all starts with its unforgettable pilot episode, Smoke Gets in Your Eyes. It's one of my top 10 TV pilots of all time, and Don Draper is hands down my favorite television character. Doesn't mean he's a good guy, he very much is not, but he's an anti-hero in the vein of Walter White, or Tony Soprano, or House. He's infuriating and flawed, almost allergic to personal growth. But when he opens his mouth, magic happens. As someone who lives and breathes storytelling, watching the show is like seeing a virtuoso at work. Plus, Mad Men hooked me at the perfect time. I was learning copywriting and devouring everything about branding and persuasion I could get my hand on. So watching Don turn pitches into poetry was like seeing my own lessons brought to life, with every proposal yet another chance to convince someone why this idea mattered. I may not have had a cigarette dangling from my lips or whiskey on my desk, but trust me, the stakes still felt high. Hi, I'm Sean Platt, founder of Story Merchants and a lifelong storyteller. Today, we're unpacking what makes the Mad Men pilot a storytelling masterpiece. Have you ever watched a character so layered that you felt like they were keeping secrets from you? Don Draper is that character. Every scene with him feels like peeling back another layer, only to discover that there's even more there waiting beneath the surface. Great characters are more than mirrors, they're mazes, and writing a layered protagonist is like guiding readers through the fog, just clear enough to keep them intrigued, but murky enough to leave them wanting more. Don Draper reminded me of that storytelling challenge with every episode. Mad Men doesn't spell things out for you. It doesn't grab you by the collar and explain every theme or character motivation. Instead, the show invites you into its world while trusting you to pick up on the details. Take Don's introduction. Picture the character, drink in hand, a haze of cigarette smoke curling around him as he scribbles ideas on a napkin. That scene doesn't introduce us to the character, it sets the tone for the entire series. It screams cool, confident, genius. That smoke-filled bar is both backdrop and metaphor, illustrating the haze and complexity of Don's character. We're drawn in by his confidence, but we're also left questioning his integrity. By the end of the episode, we finally see the man behind the pitch. Don returns home to his family, but it's a family the audience didn't even know he had. That's the kind of storytelling I admire. Instead of dumping information on us, the show encourages us to discover that depth for ourselves. It's like sculpting a statue. You start with a block of stone, and every detail you chisel away reveals a little more about what's hidden underneath. By the time Don finally steps through his front door at the end of the episode, the silhouette of his real life finally emerges. Subtlety is just the first layer of what makes this pilot brilliant. Beneath that is the careful balance of tension and release. The Mad Men pilot is a tightrope walk between Don's professional brilliance and his personal struggles. On one side, you have the lucky strike pitch. It's toasted.
But everybody else's tobacco's toasted.
No, everybody else's tobacco is poisonous. Lucky Strikes is toasted.
A simple manufacturing detail turned into a revolutionary slogan, and more of Don transforming the mundane into the memorable. And on the other side, you have Don tucking his children into bed, his facade of control slipping in the quiet moments of family life. Don Draper is more than a character, he's a walking contradiction, a man whose genius is eclipsed only by his flaws. His life is an unending dance between power and vulnerability, genius and self-destruction. It's this duality that makes him such an unforgettable character. As a storyteller, I live for these contrasts. They're what make characters compelling and keep audiences engaged. Tension and release aren't just techniques, they're the heartbeat of any great story. It's like tuning a guitar string. Too loose and it won't sing. Too tight and it snaps. The Mad Men pilot hums with that perfect pitch. At its core, Mad Men is a show about selling ideas, but it's also about selling identity. When Don pitches It's Toasted, he's not just describing how Lucky Strike makes their cigarettes, he's giving the audience a story to believe in. And that's the genius of branding. It's not about the product, it's about how the product makes its buyers feel. Whether you're writing a novel, building a business, or pitching an idea, the question is always the same. What's the story you're telling, and how does it connect to the human experience? For me, every book title, every cover design, every back cover blurb is its own version of It's Toasted, because I want to give readers a story to believe in. But storytelling isn't just about selling ideas, it's about capturing the culture of the moment, and that's where Mad Men truly shines. I love how Mad Men uses its time period, the 1960s advertising boom, to reflect on issues that are still relevant today. When Peggy Olson steps into Sterling Cooper, she's greeted with everything from condescending advice to backhanded compliments. Watching her navigate this minefield isn't just a window into the past, it's a reflection of the hurdles women still face today. Peggy's journey not only mirrors societal change, but it also serves as a foil to Don Draper, contrasting her determined growth with his resistance to change. Her character reminds us that great stories often emerge from friction, from voices trying to be heard in a noisy room. Great storytelling makes you think, inviting you to hold up a mirror and ask, how far have we really come? Don Draper's superpower goes beyond his ability to sell. It's really in his understanding of what drives people. Take his conversation with Rachel Menken. She's not looking for a standard advertising campaign. She wants something that captures the sophistication of her department store as she sees it. Don doesn't just sell her an idea, he digs into her identity, her values, and her aspirations. That's what great storytelling does. It doesn't just tell you what's happening, it taps into what people want, what they fear, and what they dream of. Before we wrap up, let's take a moment to appreciate some of the lines from Mad Men pilot that are pure storytelling gold. This is the greatest advertising opportunity since the invention of cereal. This line is quintessential Don Draper, bold, hyperbolic, and utterly confident. It's not just a sales pitch, it's a rallying cry, convincing everyone in the room and the audience that they're standing at the edge of history. What you call love was invented by guys like me to sell nylons. Don's take on love isn't just advertising cynicism, it's a glimpse into his fractured psyche. It's as if every pitch he makes is also a mirror of his own flaws and desires. This mix of cynicism and insight makes his worldview both fascinating and tragic. You're born alone and you die alone, and this world just drops a bunch of rules on top of you to make you forget those facts. This line teaches us that great dialogue doesn't just reveal character, it echoes universal truths, resonating deeply with audiences on a personal level. And, of course, the now iconic, "It's toasted." The simplest ideas often resonate the most, and Don knows how to distill complexity into clarity. That's not just advertising genius, it's storytelling brilliance. Every one of these lines is a lesson in economy, impact, and the power of words. The Mad Men pilot is more than just a great episode of television. It's a gorgeous study in stories that resonate. So here's my question for you. What's your favorite TV pilot, and what has it taught you about storytelling? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you want more content like this, don't forget to subscribe and check out what we're doing over at Story Merchants, unpacking the lessons behind the stories we love and helping you to tell your own. You'll find a link in the description, and I'll see you tomorrow.